This video is brought to you by Practical Music Theory for the Rock Guitarist, my new book, which is a comprehensive guide to all aspects of music theory necessary for playing rock guitar. From blues to the cycle of fifths, from understanding and using modes to choosing the right notes for a melodic solo, from pentatonic scales to chord construction and keys. It's all covered in a clear and concise manner. With accompanying video demonstrations, jam tracks and tabs, you'll learn to use the knowledge you gain in accessible ways that make sense for less than the cost of a few guitar lessons. Check out the link in the description for more details. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. That was me having a little bit of fun with one of the, I would say, most essential rhythm guitar techniques involved in playing pretty much any form of rock music. The reason I'm talking about rhythm guitar techniques is because that's what we do on a Wednesday these days. We take a look at some various aspects of playing rhythm guitar. And, of course, what I was doing in that little demonstration there was playing some power chords, and that's what we're all about today. Coming up next, you're going to see an explanation of what a power chord is, and we'll run through a few shapes that you can use to find various power chords along the neck of the guitar. Here it is.
Here is the explanation.
Okay, let's begin by nailing down exactly what we mean by the term power chord. Essentially, when you start playing with this kind of guitar tone, i.e. with a bit of gain or a bit of drive going on, then if you include too many notes in the chord that you play, it can start to sound a bit flabby and a bit messy. So what we tend to do is slim down the number of notes in the chord. A major chord is the root, third and fifth notes of a major scale. A minor chord is the root, the flattened third and the fifth notes of a scale. So it tends to be that third note that, especially in minor chords, which sort of gets in the way a little bit and starts, as I say, making everything sound a little bit mushy and flabby and not entirely pleasant. So what we do is we miss it out, and that means we're just playing the root and fifth of the chord. Hence why power chords are often called five chords, because you've got the root and the fifth in the chord. And let's just run through a few open position power chords now, starting with the first chord in that tune that you heard, an A5. I'm playing the open A string and the second fret on both the fourth and third strings. So I'm getting... I can then move that shape down or is it up one string, basically move it physically up one string, and play the open 6th string and the 2nd fret on the 5th and 4th string. That is now an E power chord, or E5 chord. If I go down a string, or in this direction, and play the open D string, and then the 2nd fret on the 3rd string, and now the 3rd fret on the 2nd string, we have to kind of go up a fret here because of that little tuning discrepancy that we have between the 2nd and 3rd strings. I get this. That is a D5 power chord. And there's one more that I'll talk about here, just in terms of open position power chord shapes. I'm going to bar the 1st and 2nd strings at the 3rd fret, and I'm going to reach over and play the 6th string at the 3rd fret, and I'm going to mute the 5th string. So that's not getting played. That's just getting muted with the underside of this finger. So now I've got a G5 power chord, and that intro to that piece earlier was A5 to G5 to D5 to E5. So those were the open position ones that I used. We've then got movable positions. Now, if you know your bar chord theory and how bar chords move up and down the neck, you're already half the way there. What we're going to do is, let's imagine that's an F sharp major chord and that's an F sharp minor chord. Well, okay, remember what we're doing is we're kind of taking the 3rd, the note which makes the chord either major or minor, we're taking that out of the chord. So all I'm going to do is, and you see that's the note that changes there. Okay, so if we don't go anywhere near that string, it means we can play the 6th, 5th and 4th strings. In this case, I've got an F sharp root at the 2nd fret, so I'm playing 2nd on the 6th string and then 4th on the 5th and 4th strings. And then I can move that up and down. I can move that up to the 5th fret, and I've got an A power chord again. Oops. Which sounds the same as that A power chord that we had down there. And I can also, in the same way as we move things like with the open position chords from that set of strings to that set of strings, we can do the same with the movable ones. So if I have an F sharp power chord there, move it up to become an A. If I then move it one string in that direction, I've now got a D5 power chord. Again, why is it D? Because it's just following the same rules as bar chords would follow. We know that shape at the 5th fret would be a D major chord. That would be a D minor chord. So we're just kind of slimming it down to becoming a power chord. So in what I would think of as the verse section of that piece of music, it was going from an F sharp 5 to a D5 to an A5 to a C sharp 5. Then we'll go back to the F sharp 5 again, then to the D5. Now this is where I pulled a little bit of a stunt with this next chord. I've said we can essentially get rid of the 3rd. Well, which is the note which makes the difference between the chord being major and minor. You can include it as long as you sacrifice another note. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to be playing like what will be an A chord. There's my root note there, the A. And I'm going to put the 3rd on underneath that, like that. We're getting rid of the 5th this time, so we're just going. And that will kind of serve as a useful, almost like passing chord. So I think I went down to this. And where else have you heard that in reverse? You know, maybe. That kind of thing, you know. Apologies to Brian May there. So we can kind of do that, and it's just a way of just creating a little bit of variation. I could just as easily have played an A power chord there, but I decided to give myself that little kind of thing there, because the next chord that comes after it is a C power chord, like that, and that idea of just like that little chromatic walk down appealed to me. But it's not strictly a power chord, but it does get included in a lot of power chord based kind of rhythm guitar parts, that shape. So that was the majority of the chords there. What I also did was I came up onto the next set of strings. So I can play, if I've got a G power chord here, I can play sort of this idea of it. Just the same shape, but everything's an octave higher. So that's good. That would be 5th fret on the 4th string, 7th fret on the 3rd string, and 8th fret on the 2nd string. Essentially, it's just taking this shape that we looked at for the D5 down here. Remember this one? And, you know, moving it up the neck. But obviously, I've got to move the open string note up again along with it. And then, remember this one? The G5 down here. Well, we can kind of treat that as a movable thing here. I use this for a D5 in the piece of music. So just taking, that's G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D. So that will put me there. And then just, as I said, I've got to move the open strings up and get that. So there was part of it, I think, where it went. And then like that, just kind of playing around with these higher register power chords. Essentially, that's it. For my wonderful Patreon supporters, there will be a PDF with all of those shapes on it. And, you know, so you can peruse those at your leisure. But basically, those are power chords. There's a few sort of open chord ones that you can do. The majority of the time when you're playing a power chord tune, it will be one of two shapes. It will either be this movable shape, which you take up to there, or move it down onto the next set of strings to get that shape there. And as I say, they follow the same rules as they progress up the neck as you would do with like regular bar chord shapes that I'm presuming you're already familiar with. So there you go. Those are power chords. Now you know what to do. Go away and have some fun with them. And I should also just mention that in that little demo there, I was doing a fair bit of palm muting. I was going to do a separate video on this, but to be honest, I don't really think there's enough to talk about in terms of a technique to spin it out into a video. If I just play the one of those power chords I was talking about in that explanation, like this one, then if I want to make that sound just a little bit chunkier, all I got to do is basically lay my hand, the kind of the heel of my hand there on the bridge saddles, and just find that biting point where when I lean over to pick the strings, I get that kind of chunky sound. It's a little bit of experimentation involved to find that sweet spot. If you come too far forward, you'll get just a dull thud with no chord. And if you go too far back, you're not going to get any muting at all. So just experiment coming as far forward as you need to get something like that. And that is essentially palm muting. As I say, there probably are videos out there on the technique. Let's put the camera back up again. There probably are 10-15 minute videos out there on that technique, but that's as much as I can find to say about it. It's just find that sweet spot where the kind of heel of your hand, it shouldn't really be called palm muting because you're not using the palm of your hand. This part here, you're using what I would call the heel of your hand there to mute the strings with, and that's how I do it, and it seems to serve me well whenever I need it, so that's the technique. Anyway, the piece of music that we kicked the video off with is, of course, available in a full tab in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put the performance of that up there as both a video file and an audio file, and I'll also give you just the bass and drums, so that you can practice playing power chords along with a kind of a rhythm guitar backing track as well. And you can use the audio version of the full thing as just a jam track to blaze away some lead guitar over the top. All of that is, as usual, up on my Patreon page. There's the address, and the link is in the description. I'll put the that explanation that I've just we've been through there up there as well. So there's the Patreon address, link in the description. As I'm sure you know by now, it's $3 or £3 a month, and you get access to all of these additional goodies that go along with these YouTube videos. And of course, a massive thank you to everyone who supports me in that or any of the other ways, all of which are downstairs in the description. And that is pretty much it for today, folks. Hope you found this video useful and informative in some small way, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream every Friday, 5 PM UK time, beer and chat and all things great. Basically, we just talk about guitars and music and stuff. It's a great way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.